Hi, I'm Dr. Carmen Morrison. I'm a psychologist and brain coach founder here at Alli, along with
Drew Morrison, which is myself. I am
you
a
forgot who you were
licensed,
there for a minute, didn't you?
yeah. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I am also a coach and co-founder at Ally.
And we wanted to think today together about some of the ways we can help our really strong-willed oppositional kids handle homework. Homework at this, especially this time of year, we've just started back up to school. Homework is a trial many
Hmm.
times and the source of all kinds of angst and frustration on all sides, can really dominate the family. So, Drew, what are some of the things when you talk with parents, or as you work with kids, because you work with kids a lot as well?
Hmm.
Um, what are some of the issues that come up that make us get stuck in this or in around this task of completing homework?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing that comes to my mind, that and we talk a lot about, as well, is being able to see a child's brain and where they're at.
Mm.
And rewinding even a little bit, I'll get back to that in a second. But when one of the things that I think parents and their kids get frustrated about, there's always going to be that one class that kids don't like, right? And the homework isn't fun. It's hard. They get bored when they're trying to study or to work. And I
Or they
think
just rather be out playing
oh
or
my
doing a
gosh,
video
right?
game, right?
Hello. Yeah. There's so many other better things to be doing than math,
For
right?
real.
Sorry, math. If you like math out there, no hard feelings. Um, but when a child is sitting there trying to do their math homework or not doing their math homework, and the parent is coming from a place of wanting to love them and help them, and also knowing that math is a place that they struggle, making sure that they get that done, that those two forces, right, coming together can be big,
So
because the
kind
parent.
yeah,
Mhm.
what I hear you describing there is that the parent has an expectation that this needs to be done because it was
Yes.
assigned from school. And so I want my kid to be successful. I want my kid to learn. They have to do it. And the kid, it can be coming from a lot of different places, right? Our kid can be really exhausted from being at school all day and just not
Hmm.
have a lot of capacity or resources to sit down and do more brain work. They also could be really distracted, and so have trouble with motivation because they would rather be outside playing or doing video games. Um,
Hmm.
and so their needs might be very, very different than our needs in those moments. And so we're coming at it from two different places.
Hmm. Two very impassioned places, I think, is
Yeah,
important
very,
oftentimes.
very deeply, deeply felt places, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
one of the things that we wanted to think about, especially as we talk about how to shape the wiring and development of our children's brains, as well as managing our own brain wiring and being able to have capacity to manage those situations in a way that we feel better about. I'm thinking about some of Dr. Ross Green's work on working collaboratively with our child. And one of the things that I like about his approach is that it really does work with the way that our brains wire and rewire. And so
Mhm.
by joining in, and we've talked in other videos about how a strong-willed child's will is actually a resource
Yep.
when we know how to shape that and use that. And so by being collaborative, it's not giving in to them, it's not giving them all the power to decide their own fate, but it's engaging them to say, okay, here's a problem that we have together, you and I. The school expects me as your mom to make sure you get your homework done. And I, as your mom, love you. And this is more the attachment approach that we talk about a lot of making sure your children feel seen and safe and soothed. Those are Dan
Mhm.
Siegel's kinds of concepts. Um, So as your mom, I love you and I want to be sure that you're successful. I want to be sure that you can feel good about yourself when you
Mm,
go back to school tomorrow and have everybody's turning in their homework. And then there's you who's really struggling with doing the homework because you really want to be outside and maybe you're a little tired after being at school all day. So these are the problems that we have all together, and that I'm wondering if we could find some ways to work through that, or some things we could try together that maybe would work better for you. And then letting our kid give us some ideas of what they think might work. Even if we look at it and go, that is not going to work, it's never going to make any difference, we're still going to try it because it was their idea. And we want to, as we're trying to reshape that rigid oppositional brain, we want to make sure that they get to try things and learn from that process. That's one of the ways it's going to rewire that and expand their capacity. And so by being able to say, so let's think about, what time do you think after school works best for you? And they might say 5 o'clock. And you might think to yourself, well, I've tried 5 o'clock before and it never made any difference. The difference here, though, is that I tried 5 o'clock before. This is now my child saying, I think this is going to work for me.
mm,
Then we can think about, okay, so between 3 o'clock when you get off the bus and 5 o'clock, what are some things that would help you to do that will make it feel good for you and successful for you to come in and really focus in on doing homework? Or what are some ways of doing homework that you think would work better for you? So I had a hyperactive, strong-willed child. So a lot of times we did homework walking around the house, up the stairs, down the stairs, in the door, around the house, while we walked and memorized spelling words or did math problems, moving, because sitting was not something that was going to work for her.
mm,
I would have preferred that she sat, but it didn't work for her. And so, if the kid might say, maybe I can only sit for 5 minutes, or I can only sit for 10 minutes. Okay, well, how about we do homework in 5 to 10 minute chunks? And what do we do in between those chunks? And so we're really just letting our kid tell us what they think is going to work. And we let them be the expert on them.
mm,
And we let it be okay for us to try things and then come back in a problem solving mode and go, okay, so we tried that. We've tried that all week and we're really behind in our homework. And so now that problem of the teachers wanting me to make sure you get it done and me wanting you to feel good about yourself and you wanting to be able to do things in a different way still is sitting with us. What can
mm,
we try differently this week to see if we can be more successful than we were this
mm,
past week? So it's not
mhm,
punishing, it's not putting them down. It's just staying in that very let's think together and work together and keep trying things until we find something that will work for
mm.
you.
Yes. I want to highlight something that I noticed as you were talking there, about the way how intentionally you're being about the words that you're using and the way that you're
Yeah.
speaking,
Hmm.
opening it up with the child saying, "Let's think about this together."
Yeah.
And you saying we, every time you thought about the problem there,
Yeah,
and
because
what you
I'm not
just said
pointing a
was
finger. I'm not
we.
saying you're the problem, right? Or that this
What are
is
you
your
going to do
problem.
about it?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
you're, because that's going to just, I mean, what we know that does to the brain. I mean, think about
Hmm.
it as adults. This is true cradle to grave.
When
If
I
I'm
was,
alone and on my own,
mhm.
phew, and
Yes,
I'm
well, I'm
eight,
thinking, yes, I'm thinking
that's
about Brene
scary.
Brown's work in particular about
Mm,
how empathy is so
yes.
important, especially in warding off shame and whatnot. I know shame can be a big thing that kids feel
Yeah.
around school because of grades and whatnot as well. And so
Mm,
being so intentional about using those words is so important in their
mm,
development
mhm.
and really how they experience school and the relationship. There's so many things that
Yeah.
hits all at once. Another thing um, that I was thinking about was the fact that, from kind of the parent's perspective of even viewing it that way when a child is presenting or passionately saying how much they would rather not be doing their schoolwork, not looking at that as defiance or
Mm,
bad behavior, but looking
a
at
good
as
point.
them presenting a problem,
Yes.
and
They just
that
don't
can
have the
help
language
you.
for it. right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then that can help you say, oh, this is, I
Yeah.
can meet them in that, and we can
Yeah.
do that together.
Because all behavior is communication of need. We don't
Mm,
always view it that way. And a lot of times we get stuck trying to fix the behavior and we miss the need. And I love what you're saying there, right?
mm,
That rigid place is the only way that they know how to say, I'm stuck.
mm-hmm,
I'm really stuck here. I need help. And we get triggered by the behavior and we miss the cry for help underneath of that. That's a
mm-hmm,
great point. Super important. So
mm-hmm.
for parents today, let's kind of let's get practical on
Yes.
working with the brain and pulling some of these concepts together. So we're talking about um, collaborating with our child around the problem of homework, making it, so that's one, make it a shared problem that they have because they're the student, that I have because I'm the mom who loves them, and asking them to generate some ideas for solutions first. They may not be able to offer anything, and that's okay. We
Mm-hmm,
always ask them first because we're going to view them and give them that validity that their perspective matters,
mm-hmm,
and that is a way of engaging their will instead of just opposing it ourselves. So bringing them in, letting them generate ideas first, and if they can't, then we're going to generate some ideas and let them pick which one they think would be the best one to try. And then we're going to celebrate that we tried it, whether or not it works. If it doesn't work, we're going to have another collaborative conversation where we talk about, okay, now next week, what can we do differently? But we're going to celebrate the fact that we tried something together this
mm,
week. What can we do to go celebrate the fact that we had a good plan that we tried, and we feel really good about the fact that we worked on that together, and go celebrate that some way, which is a really nice bonding, security building
mm.
way of working with our children, and it keeps it positive instead of negative. So I
Right.
think those would
Well,
be some of the steps that I think we could
sure.
begin taking. Just remember, nothing's magical. There is no such thing as a magical wand. We're
Mhm.
wiring the brain. That takes years. And we know that the brain does not stop developing until 25 for women, 28 for men. So we got a lot of years of working with our child's brain before it becomes a
Yes.
fixed object. So
Yep.
we
And
got to have the
them
long
working on their
view.
brain. Yes. And
Yes.
them working on their brain as
Yes,
well. Yep.
absolutely.
That's the goal.
All right, great. So yeah, those are some of our tips here for working collaboratively in the Ross Green model with our child's brain, and also using attachment from the Dan Siegel kind of way of bringing things to help our children's brain develop, engaging their will as a resource, viewing them as an expert on them, as a partner in problem solving, and always remembering to celebrate the effort that we've made in that direction, not just the fact that something worked.
Yes, absolutely. And what I'm getting a sense of too here is that we should probably do a part two on
Hmm.
this. And so if you watching this right now have any other experiences, or there a place that you feel like we should add on to this, put in the comments below what
Yes,
your experience was, or maybe some of the places that you still get stuck. Even if you've tried some of these things, we'd love to respond to that and have the part two. So please let us know.
absolutely. Yeah, because here at Ally, we are all about getting unstuck. Unstuck
Yes.
starts here, and really of helping coach you through how to work with what we know about the brain. There's so much that we know that gives us tools that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago, and helping you apply those to these real life things. So please bring us your needs, your questions, so that we can help you do that, as we continue to bring you tips on how to work with the brain to get unstuck. So if you find this useful, please like us, hit the like button, subscribe for notifications of future videos, and tips and tricks on how to use neuroscience for both your child and yourself. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.